You actually grew up in Greenville, South Carolina, which is not too far from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Not too far. And I came up that way to things like the Cat's Cradle growing up to
Yeah.
see shows because Greenville had zero live music at the time. It's
Wait,
only
so
a
they
little bit
so
now.
when you were there as a teen, you couldn't go to shows?
I mean, we
Nothing?
just didn't have anything. We had the Handlebar, and then we had a place called Magnolia Street Pub up in Spartanburg. But now that I understand routing, I get it. Like it was
Yeah.
like people went to Charlotte, they went to Atlanta, they went to Raleigh. They had a little, it's like you kind of skipped over this,
Yeah.
over the town because the town became hip. You know what I mean? When B&W moved there, and then more people from out of state moved there, and it just became
Right.
less like religious homestead and a little bit more like culinary. You know what I mean? Still a
Yeah.
great Southern town, but
Yeah.
with just a little bit more culture, I think. And so now the Radio Room, you can go see live shows, and obviously the cities seem to put a lot more focus on their live events, but we don't have any cool clubs like that have been around 25 years like that.
So how old were you when you went to your first concert?
Oh, I think my first concert was Reba, and I was probably like 7 or 8.
Okay.
I realize that now I've been putting into context like seeing people fly for the first time, that I was 17 when I flew for the first time. It's like,
Yeah.
and that's late for anyone that would be born in my circle. Do you know what I mean? Because it makes sense. But I think when I look at the South and going to shows early, it was like free entertainment. You know what I mean? Like something to do with the whole family. A lot of these shows. So, but Reba McEntire was my first show, and but I grew up going to like Scuffletown, USA, like a little nightclub where you could go line dancing. So we saw a lot of live music growing up. My mom would go down to Myrtle Beach and go to the Sands Ocean Club and shag, which is like sounds terrible, but is swing
No, I
dancing.
know. I know what that is. Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
Shag also in England is different.
Yeah.
I go, you going, what?
What are you doing? So when did the music bug bite you? Were you that young? Were you living in the South?
No, I was a huge music fan. Like MTV was very impactful to me. And then early things like Spin magazine, like dictating the CDs I would buy in my teen years. I would deep dive into and Polestar. I would search for every live show.
Yep.
But I did not see myself as a musician. Although I note that like in the 17, 18-year-old phase, when I was going to concerts, like sneaking out of the house and taking my mom's car, that I was signing things rock star. So I think I had this idea that like I could be like a front person, because I was real quirky, all those things
Yeah.
were there. But I think I still say I attribute that my mom was a single mom. So we were trying to survive,
Yeah.
like not like survive really, what I mean? But like, when I moved to California, I needed a job not to call my mom. Like I wasn't trying to do
Right.
a creative job. So I didn't play music till I was 25, and I was making a good amount of money working a corporate job. And then I had space to,
To
I thought,
create.
yeah. And it's tricky because once you turn your art into a job, that's tricky in the first place. So, but
Right.
there was a few golden years right there where it was just the side thing. And it was really pure in a different way. It takes a lot of shapes, this job.
Yeah. We've taken a long break since your last album in
Mhm.
2017. And I read where you'd finished doing that tour and it was a grind. And then you just sort of went, well, that was it? You needed to stop for a while?
It's tricky because I still was touring all the way until until the day the pandemic happened. And I was out there
Yeah.
when people were still nervous about it and at the end of
Yeah.
2020, I hopped out for a few dates because I needed to eat. And I also wanted to put a practical head around the long game. Like the second everyone could protect themselves in some way, like I still wanted to go play some shows, like a couple. I had to eat, and take care of people. So the work, I'm a workaholic. I never stopped going. It's just the drain emotionally of turning them in and touring and following. And then it's the one job where you guys get to dictate how well I do. You know what I mean? Because if you
Ugh.
work really hard, you just can be good at the thing you do, So music is this thing where other people quantify. And I think I just hit a wall where it was always going well too. It's not like it wasn't going well enough or something. It's just that artistic brain is like, wait, I drive 8 hours to my show, to work. That's crazy. You know what I mean? And I just hit a wall. But I also said I was at a writing dry spell where I was like, I can't write about being in the band anymore. You won't let me out of the band. who's you? I say yes to these gigs. Nobody's,
Yeah.
bothering me to do it. But, it's like, what are you going to write about? So that became a great theme of the record. It was that like a song that didn't make it on, that'll end up in the next couple probably is that Josh that made the record said he attached to the line and said like sometimes you got to run away to live a life you can write a song about. So I lived halftime in Austin through those years of like not wanting to put out an album, and then the pandemic happened. So 2 years break became 5, and that's a career suicide in a lot of people's minds, that big of a break. But I still didn't stop working. And so it became like a chance to experience like a liberation or freedom where I'm like, I can only do this if I want to do it. You know what I mean? It's like, and if you don't give me space to do other things, I don't want to do it. And so now, like many people post pandemic, whatever, right? I'm trying to juggle like myself versus this job a little bit better so I don't burn out again like that.
Yeah.
But I got my favorite record out of doing so. So I feel like when I always look at things chronologically, like I had to almost quit to become reflective, which is what I like about this album, is that I'm writing about what made me instead of what happened last month or what I'm doing today.
The songs that are on the new album, Demin Diamonds, out September 23rd. Are those songs that were written close to when you recorded it, or had they been collected over that break, which was about 5 years, I guess?
It's always tricky. Like interestingly, a lot of the songs that I had written and were saving for when I got a producer, I replaced with things that came really quickly as it happened. So in 2020, at the very beginning of it, I wrote First High. I started writing some of the like the key pieces of the record just shy of meeting Josh. Like I knew I wanted to, like I was ready to go again. So I knew the record was called Demin Diamonds. I already owned the LLC, and I didn't write that song until almost towards the end of the writing process, but I love saving song titles and little bits of stuff, but I wasn't really finishing stuff. Things like Good Enough. I had written that chorus in Germany when I was burning out. But I couldn't write a verse for it. It's like, I couldn't find inspiration. And then one day driving up to the Burl in 2019, in an hour and a half to Kentucky, I wrote all verses, not knowing it belonged to Good Enough, just wrote a linear storyline, and then realized I could just smush them together and it was perfect, and is one of my favorite songs on the record. So that song took 3 or 4 years to write. Most songs I say, if I can't write them in 4 hours, they're no good, because I will let go of something if I can't get the other part of it, or table it for a long time. And so I normally take about 20 songs into a studio to record 10, where I have friends that'll take 100, but I'm like, I don't even write them unless I know they're stuck in my head. I want earworms on all of them. Right. So I started writing kind of like really hardcore once I knew Josh was making the record. I don't know what that did for me. It gave me a deadline. It gave me an inspiration as who I was going to collaborate. And there were also topics that were going on in his personal life that reflected my personal life that I was like, oh, I can write about someone else. You know what I mean? So I was like writing towards someone, so that it didn't have to always write about myself, even though it was the same story.
You've mentioned Josh a few times. We're talking about Josh from Queens of the Stone Age. How did the two of you get connected?
My previous manager just mentioned him. He is a huge music fan first and foremost, and a great music manager for that reason. And he was like, "Are you going to make a record?" And the same way I had gotten him, I had told my label, "Find me a manager." And then I'm telling my manager, find me a producer. And I don't actually even want anyone's opinion. I thought I'd just keep everybody busy. So, you know what I mean? And maybe something would come out of it. But it was the first person he named. And our first call, I was like, high IQ, super funny. It felt like it was important to could tell I didn't know if I wanted to, you know what I mean? Make songs, and created an environment, said, well, what if we did it in LA? Oh, good. I love coming to LA. What if we did it? What if you brought somebody? Okay, my pedal steel player can come, because so often they don't want your band. You know what I mean? It's everything just clicked. And then I was like, this feels great. You know what I mean? And I ran off to LA during the pandemic and stayed with a girlfriend. And for 3 months, we had this, off and on bubble where we could go in. And I think everybody in the band was apprehensive to be around, so once we tested in and we could be around each other, it was we just let loose and made a great record.
Well, the first few songs are certainly great indicators of the album, which will be out again on the 23rd. Excited to hear that. And you're going to be here in Raleigh on October 6th.
That's
As
the
on
beginning.
tour.
That's
Yeah.
great. The band is primed. We won't even be tired by then. We'll be crushing it.
There you go. We'll see you at the Lincoln Theater. I think tickets are on sale now for that, lincolntheater.com.
That's great.
Nikki Lane, so great to meet you. Thanks for the time and congratulations on the new album.
Thank you. I hope you have a great day.